Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, a 91-year-old woman ran the San Diego Marathon. What are you going to do when you're 91?
Tony Kornheiser, I would be lucky to run to the bathroom. 91?
You know,
91?
you do a little better than the bathroom.
Do I understand that she won her age group in that race?
How many people could be in her age group?
People are getting older and older all the time.
Are they running the marathon in the 90s?
You know what? That's pretty
What's
impressive.
her age group? Plus 60?
That's pretty impressive. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. We will get to Colin Kaepernick getting paid and Jurgen Klinsmann saying the U.S. cannot win the World Cup in a moment. But we begin today with LeBron James conceding that he and the Heat feel slighted by the prevailing notion that the San Antonio Spurs gave away last year's championship. Chris Broussard posed the question today. Let's listen to LeBron.
Absolutely. I can't sit here and lie to you, Chris. We do. We feel slighted in the fact that, the game did go, it went 7. It went 7. It wasn't like it was 3-0. And, they had us in game 4 and we took it and then we won 4 straight.
Wilbon, you're one of those people.
What people?
Those people,
What
you people, who says the Spurs gave away the championship. Should LeBron feel slighted?
I think more than one thing can be true. I think the Spurs blew a championship in Game 6, not Game 7, in Game 6. The game's over. They are bringing the trophy out. The court is being cordoned off by yellow rope, and they're bringing the trophy out. The NBA thought so because they're bringing out the trophy.
Right.
But I think LeBron James should feel slighted. I mean, the great players, Tony, we went through this with Michael Jordan and covering him for decades. He created slights.
He invented slights.
He
invented them.
Things that didn't even happen years later, he would say, well, it didn't really happen, but I needed it at the time.
Invented it.
Of course LeBron should feel slighted, and he should use this for every drop he can squeeze out of it.
Honestly, I don't think he should feel slighted.
Why
I'm
not?
going to tell you what. He's got the hardware.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, they won the game. They won the next game. They won the series. Tim Duncan ain't got the hardware. LeBron's got it. Now, if he's doing this because somebody asked him a question that sounds good, and to say, oh, we're slighted, we need motivation because Tim Duncan is saying we're going to beat him this time, that's fine. But, he won.
I think that's how you become.
The game's over.
That's
he won.
what separates you from other really talented guys who can't become you.
To invent things? Invent
Yes.
slights? Really?
How about the nice game Mike that allegedly the Washington Bullets threw on Michael Jordan, which 20 years later,
Insane.
he admitted it didn't happen.
No,
but the great players, Tony, they feel slights even where there apparently are none. And I think this is fine for LeBron to feel this way.
LeBron James, see, I like LeBron James. I find myself rooting for LeBron James. I like the way he plays. But he also says things like, I don't care at all what people say about me. That's not true. Of course he cares what people say about him. A guy who says I belong on Mount Rushmore obviously cares what people say about him.
He should feel slighted.
But he won. He's got it.
But you now have to work yourself up. And it's not just the physical, it's the emotional. You got to work yourself up to face this great team, this great opponent, a worthy opponent for maybe 7 more games.
Who you beat?
Well, you got to beat him again. Come on, stop sipping your tea. You're so soft now.
This tea's so hot it would burn your head.
I'm sure it would. If LeBron was slighted by our first story, wait till he gets a load of this one. Horace Grant, the starting power forward, he is my boy on the Bulls' first 3 championship teams, tells his score in Chicago, quote, the Heat wouldn't have had a chance. We would have locked them up, especially with the rules today. Michael would have had a field day, close quote. Tone, you are intimately familiar with those Bulls teams. Is Horace Grant right?
I mean, he's right for him. I think everybody looks at the era that they played in or covered first and thinks that nobody is good as them. I think that the Bird Celtics and the Magic Johnson Lakers could have killed Chicago. That's what I think. I mean, I affiliate myself with those teams. They're the best teams that I ever saw. The truth of the matter is that Michael Jordan would be great in any era, and so would LeBron James.
He would have been great.
He'd be great in any era, and he would find a way to make these games closer than Horace Grant thinks. And if Horace Grant tried to check him, and he was a good defender, he would find himself lying on his back as LeBron James ran over him.
I want to stick up for Horace a little better than that. People think about the Rodman Bulls teams being the best Bull teams. I don't. And I know one of those teams won 72 games, and they also had expansion teams out there. I think that the Horace Grant, the teams that he was on, 91, 92, 93, of course, they were all Michael and Scotty's and Phil's teams. I think those teams were better. And Michael Jordan vehemently disagrees with me, tells me I'm crazy.
Do you think that the top 3 guys, let's look at Bosh and Wade and LeBron James.
They're great.
Do you think that Horace Grant and Pippen and Jordan are significantly better than them? Because I don't.
I think they're better enough. I'm going to say this, Tony, and I know Phil Jackson has given voice to this. Given the rules, Michael Jordan had to face hand check, a forearm in the back. Michael Jordan would average more than 40 points a game if playing by today's rules. This is unarguable.
Why is it that people who love Michael Jordan and affiliate with Michael Jordan feel the need to rap LeBron James?
Because
are they afraid of looking at LeBron James in their rearview mirror?
I don't feel the need to rap LeBron James at all. LeBron James is a great, great, great player. I am not one of those. I'm not ready to say now, he's pulled even with. No, he hasn't pulled even with him. He hasn't. Because time matters.
That's right. He hasn't pulled even with him, but he's the only guy who's catching.
Who could.
He's catching.
Yeah.
We move now to a story just published today in the New York Times Magazine that quotes U.S. World Cup soccer coach Jurgen Klinsmann as saying, quote, "We cannot win this World Cup. Realistically, it is not possible," unquote. This is not the typical comment of an American coach that his team can't win. Wilbon, do you respect Klinsmann for saying this?
No, but I don't hate him for saying it. I don't really care. I mean, I think we pretty much realize that the United States cannot win this. I mean, this is much bigger in terms of a task than, say, 1980, the hockey team. It's much bigger than that. So I don't respect him for saying that. I'm not going to rip him, though, either, Tony. I know a lot of people will say, oh, wait a minute. You have to project a certain confidence as coach. They're paying you to, no, they're paying you to go out there and figure out a way to get deeper into this World Cup than any United States team has in recent history, and we'll see if he can do that.
I mean, I look at this as he lowers expectations. He makes it seem like, oh, if the United States wins even one game, we're doing pretty well. So it becomes self-serving because he wants to keep coaching. So you lower expectations.
We know this with football coaches all the time.
So 4 years ago, the United States made it out of the group, right? That was Bob Bradley's team.
Big deal.
Jurgen Klinsmann, and he's so great. He ought to be able to do that. Well, this is the part I don't understand. For 40 years, I've been hearing soccer, youth soccer, great soccer. We're going to be great.
When does it show up?
We don't.
When does it show up?
Well, now that there are people in the body of the story, the writer says there are some people who would consider it a success if, even though we lost every game, we scored a goal here and there. So if that's a success,
makes us sound
hold up the team.
Like the least athletic people on the earth, on the planet.
I don't want to go population theory, but shouldn't we have some better players by now?
Population theory's taking a hell of a beating right now. If all we can do is hope to score a couple of goals.
Shouldn't we do better than that by now?
Depends on who you believe. Do you believe Klinsmann has now gotten to the United States, having coached all over the world, and said, you know what? You people aren't very good? Or do you believe the soccer heads who have tried to convince people now that, oh, the U.S. is coming, the U.S. is coming? When do we arrive?
Do you think that his players want to hear, realistically, it is not possible?
Maybe he's hoping to get his players worked up against him, and they'll play harder. Coaches have taken that tack.
Well, why doesn't he get Chris Broussard to ask him a question, and he can concede that he feels slighted?
He feels slighted. Good for Chris Broussard, by the way. This just in. Colin Kaepernick has signed a deal that reportedly guarantees him $61 million.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's more than Peyton Manning's guarantee, more than Aaron Rodgers' guarantee, more than Drew Brees, more than Tom Brady, more than anybody ever. Tony, do you believe Kaepernick, in football that is, who has started just 29 games, deserves to be paid with the big boys of the NFL?
There's a very small sample as to what he has done because he started one full season and part of another.
21-8.
But in both of those seasons, he went to the NFC Championship game, and in one of those seasons, he went to the Super Bowl. So there's not a lot of people can do as well as that, and virtually nobody can do better than that. I think they're paying him a little bit on potential because they love his size, and they love his arm, and they love his legs. I'm not sure that I've ever heard a coach more rhapsodic about a quarterback than is happening in San Francisco.
They're all rhapsodic.
Yeah, but Harbaugh really likes this guy.
Well, he's tied. Harbaugh's future's tied to Kaepernick's future, unless Harbaugh decides to bolt for some crazy job.
I certainly think he deserves some money. What I would worry about, I'd look at the Baltimore Ravens. And I would say they paid Joe Flacco a lot of money, and they couldn't keep other people.
Flacco isn't as good as Kaepernick. That's what I would say to you, just with the eye test.
But Flacco's got one ring.
He does have one ring. But, Tony, of the people that we mentioned, the big boys, the people who make all the money.
I don't think he's as good as them.
Well, wait a minute. None of them went to a title game and a Super Bowl in back-to-back seasons. None of them, these two seasons. So, in the time that Kaepernick's been in the league, none of them have bested him.
None of them entered teams as good as the 49ers.
Wait a minute.
The 49ers,
Tom Brady did at the beginning of his career.
And he got there quick when he was finally given the ball. Okay, in the Seahawks and the 49ers, I think we agree got the two best teams out there.
Russell Wilson going to get.
And he's going to get.
He comes up after next season.
Got to get money. He's got to get money. He's won. If you're paying this guy money, he's won. Now, you can argue that it's the team that makes the quarterback.
Well, and the team, you can't sign as many people. Notice the 49ers are doing this after they've signed as many people as they can get back in there. I wonder what's going to happen to their tight end, Vernon Davis, now. But Tony, it just seems, what about these young guys coming up? They're going to walk in. Their agents are going to say, we want Kaepernick money. And I know I would say to them, then you better be in at least the title game and the Super Bowl or get the hell out of my office.
I think that's fair. But in terms of, do I think he's as good as Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers? No, I don't. But 5 years from now, they're not in the league.
In the last 2 years, he's been better. They haven't gotten as far. Their teams have not gotten as far.
He has been a very good quarterback on a very, very good team.
They don't have good teams?
Very good team. They have good teams. I think the 49ers are better. Houston Astros rookie John Singleton hit his first home run last night in his first Major League game. But the big news about Singleton is that he signed a 5-year, $10 million contract, which has ignited the ire of major leaguers like Bud Norris and Mark Mulder, who say Singleton has given away his first chance for free agency for cash on hand. Mulder tweeted, quote, either he doesn't believe in himself or he has a terrible agent who wants the 4%, unquote. Wilbon, do you think this criticism is valid?
I mean, you can criticize if you want. If this kid's career goes bust and he can't make that money, you going to give it to him, Mark Mulder? You going to do that? You're going to run in and pay the difference?
I don't think he's going to do that.
I don't think he's going to. And I'm not saying the kid's going to be a bust, Tony, but financial matters are private. I mean, unless all these people criticizing him knows what this guy has in his family and what his family may owe, what kind of medical situation he may be facing, what kind of dire needs he has, then shut up.
Baseball players always want to go by the union rules.
They do.
They want to get you
to
free agency.
They want you to live by the union.
That's right. They want to get you to free agency as quickly as possible. Those same people will say to you when you ask them any question about what they've done in their careers, this is a business. We're in a business here. Singleton has obviously made a business decision. Do I think it's possible that he doubts the longevity of his career? Yeah, I do. Do I think it's possible that he looks at himself and says, you know, I may not be that good. I want the money right now. He has also admitted an addiction to marijuana.
He's got a drug suspension.
And he got 30 games already, so maybe he's thinking, I can't stay off the weed.
I'm going to get some money before I am thrown out of here. Did they consider that, the people who are criticizing
But if other players say it's a business, and this kid made a business decision.
Oh, no, it's a business, and we'd like to tell you how to run your business.
Yeah,
that's what. And by the way, let me own it too. The baseball union has been the most successful of the professional sports unions because of that peer pressure. And it is straight up gangster peer pressure.
Because they've got
lean
the best
on you.
The best players are their officers year in and year out.
All the time. And it's worked. Yeah. So I understand what they're doing here. They want to just pressure this kid into doing what they want. A little too late
Kid's got $10 million in the bank right now. And by the way, if he's really good, they'll tear up the deal. They tore up Mike Trout's deal.
Hope.
Somebody will tear up the deal. Let's take a break. But coming up, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. Ed Olczyk joins us to break it all down.
And later, the NFL ditches the Roman numeral. Sort of. They'll ditch it for a year, for 50.
Yeah.
That's all. They'll go back to it.
Of course they'll go back to it.
Get rid of the Roman numeral.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The Miami Heat have won the 2013 NBA title.
Major League Baseball.
The Boston Red Sox have won the World Series.
The Bowl Championship Series.
The tide has risen again. The third time in 4 years.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
NBC's Ed Olczyk played for 6 NHL teams, including the Rangers and Kings, who square off tonight in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final in L.A., which is where we find the aforementioned Eddie O right on the ice.
At the ice.
How great
ice
is
level.
that? Let's do this. Heading into Game 1, and specifically about Game 1, I think, would you rather be the rested Rangers or the tested Kings?
I would say, Tony, I would probably want to be the rested team for sure. But what L.A. has done in these playoffs to be able to win 3 Game 7s and still muster enough energy to move on has been really impressive. Now, the one thing I will say, if you look at the Rangers, these playoffs where they've played long series, they were the tired team. They went into the next round and win Game 1 like they did in Pittsburgh, like they did in Montreal. So for me, I think I would rather be the rested team for sure.
Of course, as you know, Eddie, the Kings may not be all that tired because they're the deeper team, probably the deepest team in the league. and they've made opposing goaltenders, really good ones, look bad at times in these playoffs. Would you rather have that depth or Mr. Lundqvist going forward?
Well, look, both goaltenders here, Michael, are as good as it is, and there are in the National Hockey League. And when you look at Jonathan Quick, I think it's been a roller coaster type of playoff for him. The way he started in round one against the San Jose Sharks, found his game late in round one. I thought he had a real good round two, and then he was inconsistent in the Chicago series. As far as Henrik Lundqvist, I mean, he's been a battler. I mean, this guy has been the franchise for the Rangers the last 7 or 8 years. I think he's been really good in these playoffs, and you need those key saves at right times. For me, this is really where it starts and ends, is with the goaltenders. We know if you don't get goaltending, you have no shot to win in the NHL playoffs, especially the Stanley Cup final. But this will be a battle of two great goaltenders.
Well, let me get to Jonathan Quick for a second, because a couple of years ago when they won the Stanley Cup, he was fabulous.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, in this past series against the Blackhawks, he looks sort of shaky. Is this just something that happened, or when you study him, do you say, you know what, he does this bad, and the Rangers are going to know that he does this bad?
Well, I think you got to get people in front of him for sure. I don't think that you can just sit there and say you can take shots from 25 or 35 feet out and say that the puck's going to go in the net. I mean, he does play very low. He's a goaltender that relies on his athleticism. He plays really down on the ice. So I think if you're the Rangers, you're thinking about elevation. You're not trying to shoot the puck down low. You're trying to get the puck up around his ears, maybe a little bit of chin music every once in a while if you're the New York Rangers.
You're on record as picking the Kings in 6. How come?
I think that the L.A. Kings' size and heaviness, especially with their forward position, will deny the Rangers the way that they like to play over the course of the series. And what I mean by that is they like to play a real fast transition type of game, to score off the rush, to go from their one end zone in the defensive area all the way through the middle of the ice and then be able to score all the way back down at the other end. The L.A. Kings, I would assume, will want to try to take that away, force the Rangers to try to play a grind them out, below the top of the circle type of game, and prove to them that they can score goals by playing that way. I would imagine that's how L.A. would want to play, and I would agree with you guys, the Kings in 6 games.
Who you got?
Kings. I'm biased. I'm coming off of watching them a lot against the Blackhawks, including a couple games in person, and the depth is what's amazing. They can just run so many people at you. I think they can wear down the Rangers and wear down Lundqvist.
The New York Rangers, when I was a kid, trained and lived in Long Beach, Long Island. I'm going with the Rangers.
What a shock. What a stunner, Eddie. What a stunner. Tony's going with the Rangers.
Thanks for joining us, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys, keep up the great work. Thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate it.
We're taking a break. When we come back, what did Paul George do to earn a $7 million bonus?
$7 million.
What did he do? Did he win?
Plus, California Chrome and Matthew McConaughey updates. Matthew McConaughey, I like Matthew McConaughey. What about you?
I know you do.
What about you?
I used to not, but his roles lately, he's been great.
You rolled
He's been great. I've rolled over.
Scratch your belly.
Oh, did you see? Happy time, people. Happy 29th birthday, Lucas Podolski. The German soccer player is one of the stars of an Adidas campaign in which he holds up a cow's heart and solemnly promises to give his heart in pursuit of the World Cup. Predictably, animal rights groups are outraged. My feeling is, if you're going to give your own heart, take out your own heart, or the heart of a rarely used substitute on the German team.
Lucas Podolski.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie and Barbara Raffaelli have birthdays today.
Yeah.
And you're giving me Lucas Podolski.
Are either of them holding up a cow's heart?
Really?
Either of them?
No, hopefully not.
Happy anniversary 10-cent beer night. On this night 40 years ago, the Cleveland Indians infamously dropped their beer price down to 10 cents from the usual 65 at the time. Thousands of ticket holders got drunk out of their skulls, started fights with each other and the players, leading to a forfeit by the Indians.
This video looked like it should feature Lou Boudreau and so. Oh, by the way, Disco Demolition Night or that? Dumber idea.
Disco's really slick. Happy trails to Roman numerals for Super Bowl 50. The NFL will part with its tradition for Super Bowl 50 only. They will use Arabic numerals for 50 and then resume Roman numerals with LI. There's probably great import and symbolism in this, and it is completely lost on me.
Me too, which is why I'm wishing happy trails to the 90-year relationship between the Cubs and their radio partner, WGN. The radio station said enough lost revenue, 197 losses in 2 years. We're opting out.
Somebody's going to pick them up, though.
90 years. Yeah, I think WBBM or somebody's
going to pick them up.
Don't worry. But WGN, what does it stand for? Do you know?
World's greatest newspaper.
Very good.
Boom.
Very good.
Time to find out what we messed up, Reali.
And about the Roman numerals, is that because they don't want the letter L? L for loser?
Loser.
They don't want that
loser.
We waited all these years to get to L, and now we're just going to get rid of it. Okay. The QB discussion you guys had. Tony, you had Aaron Rodgers out of the league in 5 years. He's only 30 now.
No, he'll be there for 8 more years.
35. And then Wilbon, you had Cap better than Peyton Manning the last 2 years. Manning's also been to a Super Bowl.
Result is better.
And they've both been to one Super Bowl, and Manning has the stat.
And they get to a title game the
Russell Wilson, 28-9 the last 2 years, and has a Super Bowl win. 50-game suspension for John Singleton in the minors. And Wilbon, last night at Wrigley, your scoreboard operator, defend your boy.
Look at that.
I just told you WGN bailed on him. This guy went to sleep.
World's greatest snapper right there.
197 losses in 2 years.
Utterly pathetic. Big finish. Here we go.
Do it.
By making third-team All-NBA, Paul George gets a $7 million bonus in his contract. So, right with you?
Yes. By the way, neither Carmelo nor Russell Westbrook made the first 3 All-NBA teams. I voted both.
Of course you did.
I did. Look at my ballot.
Of course you did.
California Chrome is going to run from the number 2 post to the Belmont Saturday. What does it mean?
The number 2 hole has not produced a winner in 20 years.
Will it this year?
It doesn't matter what position he's in. Can he go a mile and a half?
Will he win?
The classic distance.
Will he win?
I don't know.
Oh, what a...
Larry Brown.
Godless boo!
Larry Brown says he was blindsided by talk of him going to the Lakers. He wants to stay at SMU. Do you think he will?
Larry told us he wanted to stay there with his kid there, his roommate,
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Sounds very warm and fuzzy to me. Matthew McConaughey watched the Redskins practice. They're his favorite team with the owner, Dan Snyder. Favorite role?
Lots of great roles lately. I particularly like the cameo in The Wolf of Wall Street and when he plays the energetic agent.
You used to rip him all the time.
Last one,
Cheap
Nelson
shot.
Cruz hit his Major League leading 21st homer last night. How many will he end up with?
Yeah, he's on pace for 61. I'm sure we hit at a lot of Sports Center. No, how about 36?
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
36 is nice. Maybe 38, but not 61. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads.